The Guilford Press, in association with Riverside Digital Productions, presents Effective Psychotherapists, Clinical Skills that Improve Client Outcomes by William R. Miller and Theresa B. Moyers. Narrated by Michael Quinlan. Additional voices: Booth Daniels, Annie Falcone, Barbara Farraher, Alan Friedman, Maceo Oliver, Diana Woods. Published by Guilford Press, a division of Guilford Publications, Incorporated. Audiobook, copyright 2024, print edition, copyright 2021. Publisher's Note: Thank you for purchasing this Guilford Press audiobook. This title has supplemental material which includes the table of contents, figures, and references, among other resources. To download the PDF, go to the following URL: www.guilford.com/Miller12-audiobook. Preface. Perhaps the best way to start is with the story of how this book emerged. The seeds for it were planted long ago through a series of happenstance events, several of which occurred during my predoctoral psychology training at the University of Oregon. The clinical program at Oregon was strongly behavioral, and even cognitive behavioral was a new and controversial concept in the early 1970s. Students at Oregon normally didn't begin seeing clients until the third year of training, after we had done the heavy lifting of coursework and a master's thesis. During the second year, there was a required 2-semester seminar to prepare us for talking to clients, and apparently none of the behaviorists wanted to teach it, so they found a faculty member from the counseling psychology department to prepare us for clinical work. Mentored by Leona Tyler, and thus an academic grandchild of Carl Rogers, Sue Gilmore introduced us to a person-centered way of listening to and being with clients before we ever set foot in the practice of behavior therapy. Clinical practica began in our third year, and I joined one that focused on family therapy, supervised by Steve Johnson. Steve's own mentor, Gerald Patterson, was a progenitor of behavioral family therapy who had been on the clinical faculty but had moved across town to the Oregon Research Institute, ORI. I was working with families in the university psychology clinic, trying to follow the guidelines in Patterson's writings, teaching parents about positive reinforcement and behavior tracking, but without much success. Then we took a field trip over to ORI to watch, via a one-way mirror, Patterson working with a family. He was indeed using the techniques he had described, but he was doing much more than what was mentioned in his writing. He was a warm, empathic, patient, funny, engaging human being. So that's how you do it, I thought. Back in the clinic, I began following his example and integrating what we had learned about a client-centered approach. I found parents more engaged in the treatment process, more willing to try the homework assignments that I suggested, and more successful with the behavior changes for which they hoped. It was not until decades later that I encountered this quote: "It should be re-emphasized that in spite of the cold and mechanistic language used to describe behavior therapy techniques, the actual practice often involves a warm, authentic, and deeply understanding therapist." Just before my third year of graduate training, I had a summer internship on the alcoholism ward at the Veterans Administration Hospital in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Fortunately, I knew nothing about alcoholism, so being a newcomer, I spent most of the summer listening with the same Rogerian skills that I had learned. The clients taught me about alcoholism, and both they and I enjoyed the conversations. I also began learning some behavior therapies that summer and decided to focus my dissertation on treating people with alcohol problems. The outcomes were good, with an unexpected twist. At the end of treatment, clients, randomly chosen, either received or did not receive a self-help booklet describing the same methods our counselors were using. During subsequent follow-up, clients who had been given the book showed a significant further decrease in their drinking, whereas the others did not. This unexpected finding suggested a second study was in order, one in which problem drinkers were randomly assigned to receive the 10-session outpatient behavior therapy we had developed, or were instead seen for just one session, given the self-help book, and encouraged to use it. To our surprise, both groups showed the same large reduction in alcohol use, with no difference between groups. With or without ongoing counselor support, both groups changed their
Sample complete. Ready to continue?